From facing physical abuse at the hands of his father as a young boy, to training at the peak of the dawn to make a name for himself, these are things you never knew about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's start with how he recounted the traumatic story of his past just recently. So, right after Arnold came back to Austria from his posing gigs in Baltimore and Philadelphia, he got some really sad news. It turns out his brother, Arnold Schwarzenegger, had been in a car accident and didn't make it. The worst part? Arnold was driving under the influence and crashed into a telephone pole. It's just heart-wrenching. Earlier in his new documentary, Arnold talked about his complicated but loving relationship with Arnold. Those two were in constant competition when they were growing up, whether it was about school grades or who could find the perfect Mother's Day gift. They had a lot of ups and downs, you know? Schwarzenegger said that his bro was always the family favorite. He had this artistic side to him, was really smart, and read a ton. But Arnold says that the poor guy was never truly happy. He said that their upbringing was tough, and he thinks that's why Arnold turned to drinking. He went on to reveal that both he and his brother suffered from their parents' abuse. They also had to witness their dad's wild behavior at home. Gustav Schwarzenegger would come home drunk and start yelling in the early hours of the morning, taking out his anger on his wife and kids. It was a messed up situation to say the least. As Schwarzenegger reflected on their different paths, he said that their upbringing had toughened him and fueled his determination to succeed, though he also admitted that his brother was more fragile. And, while Arnold emerged from their shared experiences as a resilient and unstoppable force, his brother Arnold suffered a different fate. Arnold went on to become super successful, as evident from his career in the industry and in politics. But according to the man, people have a very skewed perception of what he's done as a politician. His political journey is way more exciting than just being the governor of California. You see, he actually grew up in a socialist household, and his awesome mom, Aurelia, taught him all about the importance of serving the public. But guess what? In 1979, he totally surprised everyone by joining the Republican Party. Of course, being the badass he is, Arnold faced opposition from all sides. But did that stop him? No way. He powered through and ended up becoming a super successful governor of California. And let me tell you, he didn't just sit around in his office twiddling his thumbs. Nope. Arnold took charge and implemented some seriously cool policies. First off, he was all about renewable energy. He wanted to save the planet, so he pushed for policies that promoted cleaner and greener energy sources. How awesome is that? And that's not all. Arnold was also a big advocate for education. He worked hard to improve the education system and make sure all the kids in California had better opportunities. What a hero. But wait, there's more. Arnold had his sights set on tackling climate change too. He took bold steps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, showing his commitment to protecting the environment. This guy is like a real-life action hero fighting for a better world. So remember, Arnold Schwarzenegger's political career is way more epic than you might have thought. And while we're on the subject of things he did as a politician, did you know about the smoking tent? Once he assumed the role of governor in California, Arnold had a rather unique idea. He decided to set up what became known as the smoking tent. Now hold on, it wasn't just about smoking cigarettes or anything like that. According to Arnold, it was more of a social gathering spot. The purpose of the tent was to bring people together, regardless of their political affiliations. He wanted to create a space where he could interact with legislators from both the Democratic and Republican parties. Arnold saw it as an opportunity to build relationships and have conversations with people he didn't know before. As you can imagine, this smoking tent quickly gained attention. Plus, according to columnist Joe Matthews, it wasn't just a tent, it was like a stage. The interesting part was that everyone in the nearby offices, including Arnold, could see who was in the tent. This created a bit of a buzz among those who weren't part of the conversations, making them wonder why they weren't included and sparking their desire to contribute ideas. Matthews also noted that it could be a bit unsettling because those who met with Arnold were aware that they were being observed. But the guy himself seemed completely comfortable with this setup. He didn't mind being watched while engaging with others in the tent. And just like this one, here's another little fact that everyone loves about him. Did you know he's a hardcore feminist? In the docuseries, he openly acknowledges that he's always been eager to learn from women, and he credits his mother for influencing his perspective on gender equality. It's pretty awesome to see how important women have been in shaping his beliefs. Not only does Arnold talk the talk, but he walks the walk in his movies too. He intentionally chose strong female co-stars who could kick some serious butt alongside him. Just think about Jamie Lee Curtis in True Lies or Linda Hamilton in the Terminator films. These ladies were total powerhouses and could hold their own against Schwarzenegger's formidable presence on the screen. It's really refreshing to see a prominent figure in the entertainment industry like him, actively supporting and promoting strong female characters. But some might even argue that he called himself a feminist because of the shady things he's done. Yep, there were a lot of mixed reactions to his statement, considering how he's had his fair share of trouble while dealing with women. For example, in the docu-series, he didn't shy away from addressing the past allegations of groping. These accusations first came to light just days before he was elected governor in 2003. The Los Angeles Times published a report detailing multiple instances of groping, lewd sexual suggestions, and an incident where he attempted to remove a woman's bathing suit in an elevator. One woman even said, "Did he abuse me? No. Did he humiliate me? You bet he did." The documentary reveals that Carla Hall, the reporter behind the story, uncovered a pattern of such behavior that went on for decades. When the article was published, it sparked immediate anger and public outcry. Hall explained that people immediately accused them of holding the story until 5 days before the election. It ran on October 2nd because that's how long it took. Initially, Arnold admitted to feeling defensive when confronted with the allegations, but he confessed in the documentary that he's now come to realize the gravity of his actions. He said that today he can look at it and say it doesn't really matter what time it is. If it's the Muscle Beach days of 40 years ago or today, this was wrong. He added, "It was bull. Forget all the excuses. It was wrong." He knows that he can't change the past, but the acknowledgement of his action is a step in the right direction if you ask me. Good of him to own up to his mistakes. And other than that, he also had some struggles while on set. His big break in Hollywood came when he scored the lead role of Conan the Barbarian, all thanks to director John Milius. Milius believed that he possessed the perfect physique and persona to portray the fictional sword-wielding hero. According to Arnold, filming for the movie was no walk in the park. Milius wanted him to endure the harshness of the elements, leaving him out in the freezing cold. Tough is how he described it, and he proudly mentioned that he did all of his own stunts. With nobody else having a body like his, he had to take on everything by himself. But it wasn't without consequences. As the takes piled up, he found himself bleeding from the intensity of the physical demands. Arnold even talked about how dedicated he was to all the prep work and how he refused to show up on set unprepared for the demanding stunts. He dedicated himself to extensive training, including samurai training, grappling training, and broadsword training, starting as early as 5 in the morning. Plus, he spent countless hours mastering horseback riding, all because he wanted to form a special bond with the majestic animals. Conan the Barbarian quickly became an international sensation after its premiere, sending Schwarzenegger to new heights in his career. The film series marked a major turning point for him as he transitioned from being Arnold the bodybuilder to Arnold the actor. So, from training at the peak of the dawn to make a name for himself, to facing physical abuse at the hands of his father as a young boy, those were some things you never knew about Arnold Schwarzenegger.